All of the shots used to create this product commercial were done using this, the Trexo wheels, a small but very versatile motion control system. Alright, so one of the first shots that we're going to be doing is the pack shot, or as some might say, the hero shot. Now to set the shot up, we're going to be using the Trexo Wheels app, which gives us a lot of customization about how the device is actually going to move. You can also use the learning mode feature, which will be explained when we set up for the next shot. Let's dive into the app. Now by default, as soon as you open the app, you're going to find yourself in the linear path mode menu screen. Now there are different modes, which we'll discuss a little later, so don't worry about that. In the linear path mode, we have the following settings. Distance, which is how far it will travel between point A and B. Duration, how long it's going to take for it to get to point A to B. Then we have ease in and out, which is basically how abrupt or smooth it transitions from starting to stopping. Then we have the bottom menu. Now there's two arrows on either side of the bottom menu. That is to control whether the camera is tracking forwards or backwards. Then we have two arrows in a circular motion. That is to toggle the loop function on or off. And then we have a clock button. That is going to give us access to our time lapse and stop motion menus, which we'll also discuss a little later. Then we have the go to origin button, which basically means it returns to its point A. And then we have send to device, which as soon as you click is going to transform into play. And that is how you start the motion. So with that being said, let's get the shot. Right, so we have this set up for our opening shot ready to go, and this is going to involve me grabbing the drinks as the camera tracks forward. Now to do this, we're going to be using the linear path feature once more, and there's actually quite a few ways to get the Trexo wheels to do this motion. One of them is to use the app, as we mentioned prior, but there's actually two more ways that we can program the Trexo wheels to get the shot. One of them is using the learning mode, which we access using the onboard menu. Simply double tap the triangle and move the Trexo wheels to the final position. Tap the triangle once more to reset it back to its first position, then hold the triangle to get the Trexo wheels to actually go through the motion of going from point A to B. Then the second way is using the motion control joystick. Now this gives us way more control over the Trexo wheels, as we can move it left to right, not just going straight, and we can record our motion so that we can repeat it over and over again. With that being said, we have so many choices, but I'm going to be using the learning mode to get the shot. Right, so for the next setup, we've transformed the Trexo wheels from being a camera control system to a product turntable, which is really easy to set up. All you do is take the turntable attachment that comes with the wheels kit and screw it on the same way you would attach your camera to the Trexo wheels. Now, they have a black acrylic turntable plate as well as a white top in case you want a white product turntable for whatever reason. Now, once that's set up, all you have to do is open the app and using the menu system, navigate to the turntable mode. And here you'll see two menu systems. Photo mode, which is for photos, which allows you to move the product at specific increments based on whatever you're trying to do with your product photography. But then we also have the video menu system, which is the one we're going to be using because we're taking video. And here we're able to control the direction in which the Trexo wheels is going to be spinning, as well as how fast it completes a 360 loop. So with that being said, let's take the shot. Right, so for the next shot, I'm going to be pouring the liquid out of the can and the camera's going to track around the subject. Not an intense rotation, just a very subtle one to add that extra bit of spice, that pizzazz, that little bit of juice that you wouldn't get if you were using a static camera. To create this shot, we're going to be setting up our Trexo wheels unit in circular path mode. Now there's two ways that we can do that. One is to use circular path learning mode, which we do using the onboard menu. And it is basically the exact same controls as the linear path learning mode, except we use the circle instead of the triangle button. The other way is to use the app. Simply navigate to the circular path mode feature using the menu button in the top left corner. Once you're in there, you'll notice that the menu system is actually quite similar to the linear path feature, except for two controls. We have radius, which determines how large of a circle the circular path is actually going to be. And then we have degrees, which determines how much distance within that radius is actually covered. Do you want it to do a full 360? Or maybe you only want to do 5? Or maybe you want to do 90 degrees? The customization is endless. Now, technically, there's two more ways that we could create this shot. One is to use the joystick that we mentioned earlier. And then the second way is to use what looks like a mouse pad, but is actually a really clever way of using your camera to plot out the path that you want the Trexo wheels unit to cover. To do this, what we do is we align the wheels with this bar here, and we use the V1 of the Trexo wheels app. Do not use V2, you will not find this feature there. I'm sure they're going to be migrating this feature there eventually, but for now, we just have to live with having two apps. And all you do is go to camera path, take a photo, and here you can plot down the path that you want the Trexo wheels unit to do. And then the Trexo wheels is able to automatically maneuver itself to follow that path, which is really cool. Now for this shot, I'm going to be using the app because I want to be as precise to the degree as possible. With that being said, let's grab the shot. Now, before we jump into the last shot, I actually want to take a moment to highlight two features that I think are actually quite neat. And it's only possible because of what looks like an aux jack, but is actually a shutter release cable on the side of the Trexo wheels unit. This shutter release cable gives us the option to shoot time lapses and stop motion, which is epic. All you do is take a shutter release cable like this one and plug it in and then open up the app. You will see that in both linear and circular path mode that there is a clock button at the bottom. Now, before you press that button, make sure you program the motion that you're aiming to create then press the button. By default, this will open up the time-lapse menu first. And in here, you can dial in your settings to create the desired effect that you want with your time-lapse. By the way, this is very similar to the Pro Kit V2. And so if you're interested in seeing what cool effects and shots you can create using that system, you should definitely check out that video next. Then to access the stop motion menu, you will see a button labeled Stop Motion, which sits above the bottom two buttons. This menu is divided into two sections. At the top is where you dial in your camera settings that you're going to be using, and at the bottom is where you control the motion. Alright, so for the final shot, we have the VFX shot where we have a trail of spinning cans moving from left to right. To do this, we're still using the Trexo wheels in the turntable mode, but we made one tiny little adjustment. Instead of using the Trexo wheels turntable base that it comes with, we actually had to make a little stand for the cans to rest on while the Trexo wheel does its turntable movement. And to do this, we just used a camera mounting accessories kit that you can find on Amazon. It's super cheap, and we just attached a bunch of them. And then all you do is you put your can, you have it spin, you repeat it with another can, you have it spin, and then in post, what you're gonna do is make a selection and have them spin, and as they spin, the next one pops up as you move it from left to right. And that is how we used the Trexo wheels to create this shot. And once you're done, packing away is super simple because everything fits snugly into this tiny case.